with that, the governor of Ohio, John Kasich, becomes the 16th candidate to throw his hat in the ring for the 2016 GOP nomination. How important is his home state to getting to the White House? History has shown that no Republican has ever been elected to the White House without taking Ohio. John Kasich with a compelling personal story. We'll talk about it here, but let's get the show started. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, Sandra Smith, Andrea Tinteros, political commentator and national spokesperson for the LIBRE Initiative. Rachel Campos-Duffy is back. And today's #OneLuckyGuy, Tony Sayegh, Fox News contributor, Republican strategist, has a wealth of experience leading a number of campaigns. Tony, you are outnumbered. Good to see you.
Great to be back with all my good friends.
Yeah, a good political big day.
Yeah, lots to talk about. Absolutely.
Here, so I'm glad you're here. All right, now, as we just showed you, Ohio Governor John Kasich is announcing his run for the White House. Minutes ago, the two-term governor and former congressman from a key swing state, and I told you the importance of Ohio overall, highlighting his long career in public office. Governor Kasich joins one of the Republican Party's most crowded fields in decades. Our own Brett Baer, anchor of Special Report, standing by now to help us break this down. Brett, you're with us. Hey.
Hey. Good afternoon. I tell you what, this was a speech that focused a lot on optimism, about looking at the horizon, very folksy. It was not off a teleprompter. He was just using some notes on the podium there at Ohio State, his alma mater. John Kasich is popular in Ohio. As you mentioned, Ohio is a crucial state for Republicans. How popular he is in the Republican Party overall in this primary and caucus system that we will see beginning next year is really the test. He has been somebody, Harris, who has pushed up against his party on a number of things, accepting Medicaid in Ohio, on Common Core, fracking, on a number of different issues. And he's always said, and he says it all the time, that his party is his vehicle, not his master. The question will be whether John Kasich can turn his conservative credentials and his folksy style into a win or a top showing in New Hampshire. And the one thing I saw politically that was really interesting in this speech was the introduction by former New Hampshire Senator John Sununu, who is his campaign chairman on the ground in the Granite State, and you heard him mention John Sununu in that speech.
Yeah, you know, one of the other things, too, and I'm following members of past presidential candidates' families, Abby Huntsman, John Huntsman's daughter, tweeting out moments ago, "Rollout reminds me so much of my dad's 4 years ago. Same team, same timing, similar strategy. Hope it ends better for him." There are those members in the party with connections to this campaign. You just mentioned it.
Yeah, and listen, it's not just, doesn't look the same. It's a lot of the same people. 3 senior Huntsman policy advisors are running his campaign and his super PAC. And you remember, Huntsman ran on a campaign that he kind of pushed back against the Republican Party. It did not work out for him, the former governor of Utah. Kasich is in a similar space, but he may have a different approach, a different tact. And he's really speaking to the everyman, son of a postman. He's kind of saying we need to be all things for all people, and whether he can make that stick is really the question.
Hey, Brett, it's Andrea. I thought this was a very, very good speech. I mean, there's no question the man has skills, and even though he's been almost a career politician, he doesn't sound like one. When he speaks, he is different. But you do this for a living, Brett. Handicap this for us. The infrastructure, the money. Does he have it, or is he simply running for a VP slot? I mean, does he really want the top slot?
No, I think he wants the top spot. And, you know, Andrea, you know, super PACs are the new thing that can get a candidate through a lot of early states. His super PAC came out with $11.5 million in the big stack of things. Not huge, but enough to let him compete. His campaign is running some 7-figure ads now. The question is whether he can get into the top 10 in that debate, August 6th in Cleveland, and be on that stage in his home state. I think that's a big moment, too.
Yeah, Brett, one of the things we've been remarking about is how July 2015 could be considered later than normal to get into a race when we're still more than a year away. But things are changing, and as you point out, that debate is coming up. Brett Baer, anchor of Special Report, dipping in a little on Outnumbered, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you.
Always good to see you. All right, so one of the things that I heard you and Andrea talking about, Tony, was this compassionate conservatism. And I want to go to you, Sandra, on just how big an audience in terms of those who are impoverished, those who are failing in the middle class right now economically. Who was he speaking to? Because it seemed like he tailored a big portion of his message to that segment of the population.
Well, as of this morning, a fresh report showing that 1 in 5 American children are living in poverty. The numbers are 22% of American children in poverty. That's up from 18% in 2008. That's a rapidly growing number. He seemed to be specifically addressing that. I want to point out that while he obviously has served his life in the public sector, he also spent a number of years in the private sector working at Lehman Brothers, and he has put out a very specific message when it comes to Wall Street. He has been a harsh critic of Wall Street while at the same time identifying that it's necessary and that it serves a very necessary purpose in the economy. But he also has pointed out that there's too much greed. So he's really mastered that message. And Tony, I would recognize that he put very much a big emphasis on the economy here, something that his GOP contenders have been criticized for not focusing on the economy. He certainly put emphasis on economic growth here and bringing all Americans to prosper.
And he has the record to prove it. If you look at his record, both as governor of Ohio and chairman of the Budget Committee, he is the last chairman of a Budget Committee to present our country with a balanced budget. Now, he had a Democrat president who was willing to work with him at the time, Bill Clinton. So when you talk about tax cuts, jobs, balanced budget, that's the strong John Kasich story. I think the bigger one, though, is the fact that he is so relatable, he's so likable, he has this great blue-collar story. He talks about his parents, he talks about the fact that America should be the country where we give our kids more than we had. This is something that we know from polling has been lost during the Obama years, this sense of hope and optimism. So when you think about the fact that today, according to the latest AP poll, 39% of Americans say Hillary Clinton does not connect or is concerned about people like them, then you get this guy out there. I think that's a great story to tell.
Rachel, didn't mean to leave you out. We'll get you up after the break. Okay, we're going to move on a little bit now. An emotional day on Capitol Hill. Don't know if you saw it. The father of a woman killed on that San Francisco waterfront pier testified about the policies which protected the man accused of gunning down his daughter. Whether his emotional words will lead to any changes in the laws, well, we'll just have to see. But it was moving. And Donald Trump holding a live rally right now in South Carolina as he's facing that continued firestorm over his comments about Senator John McCain's Vietnam War service. So far, though, the question, is it hurting him in the poll numbers? Can anything hurt him or stop him? And right after this TV version of us, go online, foxnews.com/outnumbered. Click on that overtime tab because we won't be done quite yet. It's Outnumbered Overtime. There's a live chat. Get on through your Facebook and Twitter. We love it when you tune in and chime in. Stay with us.